Hey, what's going on, everyone? Tim Williams, podcast host and blogger here at your favorite show. I'm tired of this shit, the Mindset Podcast. You all just dropped Simba off at daycare, so it is cold outside. At this time of recording, it is January 31st. Uh, man, I hate winter first and foremost, you all. I'm not a fan of it whatsoever. I'm a winter baby. And I'm just not a fan of winter. I definitely have to be moving out from here in St. Louis here shortly. But whatever the case is, while I'm here, I'm gonna make the most of it. And by making the most of it is by being able to share my story, my experience, and then most importantly, bring forth others to be able to do the same so that we can work with you and walk with you on becoming the best version of yourself. Why? Because that's exactly what we're called to do. That is what I'm called to do, you all. I want to see the best in everybody. But I understand that there are barriers that are holding us back from being able to be the best versions of ourselves. And a lot of those barriers are right here mentally. Mentally, we have various barriers going all over the place. Barriers that might lie within our work ethics, barriers that might lie within our skill gaps, barriers that might lie within our communication, our the way that we articulate things, all types of barriers that could be affecting us from being able to truly live a life that we can not only thrive in, but that we can draw and drive impact, not only for ourselves, but for others. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about why I started I'm tired of this shit, the Mindset Podcast, how I came up with the name, why I stuck with the name, and then really give you the whys, the whats, and the hows of what you can expect moving forward to be able to understand the type of value, resources, and growth challenges, mindset challenges that I'm going to be bringing to you shortly. So, to start that off, well, before we start it off, let me rewind a bit. What I do want to let you all know, first and foremost, is starting tomorrow, you all, which at the time of this recording, again, this is January 31st. So February 1st, it's on my podcast. It's a video over to the right or the left, depending on the way that the video is showing you, right? There's a video where it says, "Thanks for participating, you all." That is my podcast challenge. You can also find it on social medias, everywhere you are. I'm talking about this because it's important. And it's a great reward for two lucky individuals. So, what is the podcast challenge? The podcast challenge is for two lucky individuals to be rewarded $25 in a Starbucks gift card. Yes, I'm going to be giving away two $25 Starbucks gift cards to two lucky individuals. And here's the three things that you need to do, you all. You need to subscribe to my podcast. Now, if you're listening on my website, if you can see the audio module down below, then there you go. You can see that subscribe button. Go ahead and click on that subscribe button, and you're good to go. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcast station may be, Audible, all those different things, right? You can subscribe there as well. Don't worry, I will be able to see. I appreciate your love. I will be able to see. So that being said, subscribe there. So subscribe to the podcast. B, I need you to go ahead and subscribe to my email newsletter. Now, the newsletter is going to be critical. Why? Because I'm going to do weekly and monthly newsletters. The weekly newsletters specifically are catered towards all of my podcast episodes that I'm releasing. I'm releasing podcast episodes every week. So I'm going to make sure that you're notified when those podcast episodes are launched. And also, typically, not every podcast, but particular episodes will have a weekly challenge that is catered to it. And so I want to be able to include that weekly challenge within the newsletter when I'm telling you about the particular podcast that has just released. And so that will allow you to stay on track, make sure that you're growing, and be notified of all the upcoming podcasts that I have coming, right? And then thirdly, not thirdly yet, but monthly wise, I'll be posting different blogs and just providing different updates on events that's coming up that I'll be a part of, that I would love for you to come out so we can connect, get to know each other, and most importantly, that you can connect with other like-minded individuals who also are looking to overcome and thrive in all that they do, right? So that's going to be the monthly, right? Now, see, the third thing, right? All I need you to do is go ahead and follow me on all my social media profiles. Now, if you don't have a social media profile that I'm on, I'm not going to penalize you for that. But if you do have one, I need you to go ahead and follow me. Why? Because I'm going to be posting some super dope content. And again, it's a way to get notified. Not everybody's checking their emails all the time. And so, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, I just named out all 4 platforms that I'm on, right? That is your way to be notified that, hey, there is a new podcast or a new show up and ready for you to watch. And there's some super dope content outside of that I want you all to be able to live and experience. Why? Because while some is going to be fun, some is going to be engaging, at the end of the day, it's going to be challenging. And that's the focus, you all, that we are challenged to grow to the next level. So those are the 3. I need you to subscribe to the podcast. I need you to go ahead and subscribe to my email newsletter, and then make sure you follow on all social platforms that you are on. All of my social platforms can be found below or over to the right or left of the video on my website. And if you're not on the website, need to have access to the website, you should be able to find it on all of my platforms. But for those who can't, it is www.tiredofshit.com. Simple, you all. Tiredofshit.com. So that being said, that's the podcast challenge, you all. 2 lucky individuals will be rewarded $25 Starbucks gift cards. Your next drink is on me. All right. So let's go ahead. Let's show the support. Let's show the love. But most importantly, let's show the ability to actually take the first step in wanting to see growth. It's bigger than just the $25 Starbucks gift cards. It's much bigger than just you showing your love and support for the podcast, you all. This is your first step to saying, hey, I need to make a change. And hey, I'm going to do what I need to do to make that change. And maybe that first step is just simply being able to subscribe to the podcast and being able to hear about experiences, being able to relate to experiences, but to be able to see how I or other individuals who I'll be inviting onto the show handled those situations and how we were able to overcome and thrive in whatever particular aspect or scenario we were in at that moment of time in our lives. So, in order for us to make a change, we have to make the first step, you all. There is no change that's going to come in our lives if we don't take action. So I'm asking you to commit right now and take action by just completing these 3 steps. Again, it's the first step towards your better, towards everyone's better. Because here's the thing, while you're growing, you can be impacting someone else. And by you growing and impacting somebody else, they are now able to grow and impact somebody else. We're going to create a ripple effect, you all. Okay? So let's go ahead, put in this work, and thank you all again for the support. Now, going into how I started I'm tired of this shit. The Mindset Podcast. First and foremost, let me say, I knew I wanted to start a podcast. I started a podcast in the past before. It was strictly around business, and don't get me wrong, it was cool. Had a good time, but it just did not really resonate with me as much as I wanted it to. Why? Because while I knew that my strategies from a business standpoint could and would help individuals, I didn't feel like it was that meaningful, right? My stuff was based around marketing, websites, all of those different things. And there's a slew of people out there that can help you with that. And I'm not saying that I can't help you, but I wanted something more meaningful, something that would truly impact someone's life. And just throughout experiences in life, I'm 30 years old. I will be 31 years old. February 14th, Valentine's Day, you all. Speaking of which, hold on, I didn't even give you all the dates. So look, the podcast challenge is February 1st through February the 14th. It ends on my birthday. So I'll tally up all of those entries, and I'm gonna do a digital drawing. And whoever two names get pulled out on that digital drawing, boom, $25 Starbucks gift cards. I'll be reaching out to you for sure. All right. So that being said, um, yeah, I'm 31 years old, turning 31 on Valentine's Day this year, you all. And you know, I've had some really interesting experiences in life. And those experiences have come honestly from my decisions, my actions, my thought processes. Don't get me wrong, did everything that happened to me was caused because of me? Not everything, but majority. I can say that, majority. Why? Because at the end of the day, I've made those decisions. I put myself in those positions. And I will tell you all, I am a experienced learner. And I'm not saying that that's always the best thing. I've started to come to a point to realize that all experiences aren't the best experiences. I don't have to always learn through experiences, but majority of the time I do learn by experiences. And so you might be able to relate with me on that. You might be an experienced learner, or you have those who are not experienced learners. They learn by being able to listen to the wisdom of others, which, hey, it's great. Nothing wrong with either side at times. Sometimes wisdom, while is great, experiences is a greater teacher. But at the same time, sometimes experience can be great, but a lot of times wisdom can be the greater teacher. So, it's a double-edged sword in that particular aspect. But those experiences, those decisions and actions that I chose in my past have caused me to be where I'm at today. And there was just so much going on, you all, so much going on. I was in a position mentally where I was just fed up. And I'm saying was, but we're speaking in the present tense right now. So I am fed up, and I want to be very transparent on this podcast, because allow me being transparent will allow you to see that, hey, I'm not all put together right now. I don't have all the glory lights and the super nice podcast station and all that stuff right now. I'm focused on just getting the message out. It might not be the most glamorous podcast or anything like that, but I'm gonna get the message out, and I'm gonna focus on driving impact in both my life, but also in your life. And so, that being said, things aren't the way that I want them to be necessarily right now. But I've also realized that that's because of my decisions. And if I look back And I began to calculate and add up all of the decisions and actions that I've chosen up to this point. I can say this is why I'm in the position that I'm in right now. And so one day at work, me and my coworker, I talked a little bit about this story in my first podcast. Me and my coworker Elise, in which I will be inviting Elise on a later episode, you all, so you can hear her story, and you can just kind of really understand and see the person who also helped me be able to create this podcast. But me and Elise were sitting um, in our conference room, waiting for a client to get on the call. And the client ended up not getting on the call. And so I found myself just rapping, and not rapping from a lyrical standpoint. I'm talking about rapping, just talking, right? And just started talking about all types of random stuff, y'all. Like, I mean, I was talking about people and just how we need to make a change, talking about mindset, talking about how we always stuck in these positions, how I'm tired of being in this position and that position, tired of complaining, tired of A, B, C, D. I mean, I was just going all over you all. And to this day, I could not really tell you what I really was all talking about. I just was just talking. Being funny a lot of times, just being me. And I think we recorded roughly about 20 to 25 minutes worth of content before I finally just wrapped it up. And once I was done, I was like, man, I want to start a podcast. I should just go ahead and start a podcast, you all. Again, I've already started a podcast in the past, but wanted something more impactful. And so Elise was like, yo, go ahead. I mean, I think you'd do good at it. And I was like, you know what? I should. But what would I even call it? I don't even know what I would call it. I know I would want to talk about mindset, because I think that's a key thing. And especially I'm starting to realize in my own life, that's a huge thing for me. But what would I even call it? And just throwing out a name, Elise just simply said, how about you just call it, I'm tired of this shit, with a nice big smile on her face, y'all. I just instantly just blew up by the name. It was perfect for the current stage of where I'm at in my current life. I'm tired of this shit, the Mindset Podcast. And I ran with it, you all. Literally ran with it. I wrote it on a sticky note, and I began to talk a little bit more about it to Elise, just let her know, like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do, this. And what happened was all those this. I got to a point where I was seeing all the glamorous, right? I was gonna do, get me a podcast station, get all these things, blah, 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 blah. But then something just told me, hey, if you do this podcast, I need you to get started. Don't wait till everything is right. Don't wait till everything is perfect. Don't wait till you got every single thing. Get started. And so that's what I did. I got started. I think I was scheduled to actually meet with my aunt. I want to say the night after we came up with the podcast idea. And me and my aunt met up, and we both created mission statements. And basically, my first mission statement, my personal mission statement, was around the podcast. And it was simply put, to be able to go and launch I'm Tired of This Shit, the Mindset Podcast, and be able to, I wanted to create 4 episodes before the time of my birthday. And then by the end of the month of August, to have a total following and slash subscribers of 750 people. In order to do these things, I had listed out what I was going to give up and what I was going to start doing in order to ensure that I could meet my goal. And so while we'll talk later in later episodes about my goal setting, um, I wanted you to have that high level overview of like how we started, right? So met with my aunt, we created our goals. We both did two separate goals. And then we did a weekly challenge for those goals. And for the podcast specifically, I said that I was going to record my first episode by the next week Friday. So I met with her on a Friday, and so by next Friday I would have to have that first episode of my podcast recorded and uploaded. You all, I was so geared, so happy, and just like I just needed to get it out. I recorded the first pilot episode literally Sunday night. Had it recorded Sunday night, and by Monday night, I had already built out a simple landing page website. Got myself situated on all social profiles, and then went and found my podcast host to be able to go ahead and make sure my podcast would be up and running. And you all, it was about like even a website. I could have procrastinated and said, hey, I need this to be perfect, that to be perfect. I'm a web designer, right? By trade. That is what I went to school for. But I said, nope, nope, nope. It does not need to be perfect. I was reminded that it does not need to be perfect. Just get started. And so got my first podcast up. And the momentum has just carried me from then. And here I am recording my second podcast. Actually, to be honest with you all, this is the third podcast. And what I mean by that is I recorded this episode already just yesterday and started to think about it. I was like, you know what? I wanted to bring a different way about talking about things. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to record this show all over again. So this is the second take, you all, of episode 2. And here's why it's very important that I inform you all of why this podcast is existing and what it's going to do, not only for you, but for others. The focus of the podcast, you also, let's talk about the value prop, or let's talk about mission statement. The focus of this podcast is to be able to identify and acknowledge self-sabotaging tendencies that are holding us back from living our best lives. And by doing so, you all, by identifying, by acknowledging those tendencies, those traits, we are able to then overcome and to live a life that we can thrive in. That no matter what we put our mind to, that we are going to accomplish it. As long as it's within reason, right? You know, I can't tell you you're going to put your mind to going and flying. And I'm talking about flying like Superman, right? I can't tell you you're going to quite accomplish that goal. If you do accomplish that goal, please let me know, because I got some questions for you. But within reason, you all, we can accomplish our goals. We can tackle our audacious goals and live a life that we're proud of, and a life that we can see accomplishing over, and over and over. And so that is the mission statement of this podcast, you all, is again to help you identify and acknowledge those self-sabotaging tendencies. We all have them, whether they're dormant or they're prevalent within our lives at the moment in time. They're there. And there are people out there that know about their self-sabotaging tendencies. And then there are people who was once like me who found out about them. And then there are people who just simply don't know. And it is my hope, my goal, my audacious mission to see that I can reveal and change the life of many. But in order to change the life of many, I got to change the life of one. And right now, I got to focus on myself. But I figured, hey, you know what? I will allow this to be a journal, right? A journal and a recording of my experiences, of others' experiences, and their decisions and actions to those experiences, and how they simply change their mindset in order to be able to move forward in their lives and exact change. So that is the reasoning behind the podcast, as the why the podcast started, is how the podcast started. But I want to now dive into what can you expect from this podcast, right? Simply put, you can expect not only engaging, meaningful, valuable, and resourceful information content, but most importantly, I am going to be throwing so many different challenges your way, you all. And these challenges aren't meant to put you in a position where you don't believe in yourself, but they're to put you in a position where you seriously have to think. You have to think about what it is that you're doing and being intentional behind understanding who you are. Many people just don't know who they are. By the way, I was one of those people. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm just bigger and better than anybody. I'm not. I'm not. I was definitely one of those people. Didn't know who I was, didn't know why I was doing what I did. And it's not until this point where I came and said, hey, I want to be a change maker in someone's life. That's who I've always been. Somebody who's always wanted to help others. But I had to find my special sauce, and my special sauce was this and is this. And I have other special sauces that, thank God, He has given me. But this is my platform right now. This is my platform, you all. I'm going to live my purpose within this platform. And then what other what other platforms that God gives me as well. We're going to talk about that as well, but not in this episode, you all. Purpose versus platform. That's going to be a super dope episode. But whatever the case may be, I'm going to be giving you all of these different challenges with the intentions of you growing, the intentions of you thinking deeper than you've ever had to think about yourself, and think about your actions, your decisions, just overall your mindset to life. And what we're going to begin to do slowly but surely is begin to turn the wheel. Turn the wheel. And by turning that wheel, we're going to be focusing on making small but meaningful changes. Think of a valve, right? Go on a ship, and you got that huge valve that you got to turn on a ship, right, to open the door. Think about it. It's hard to turn that at times. It's not the easiest to turn if you've ever turned it before. It takes time, but ultimately, what happens? It comes to a point where it stops and it unlocks itself. And that's the goal, that we're going to continue to turn that mental valve, and we're going to be making those small changes, right? To a point where finally you get to a point in that journey where it stops and you unlock exactly the true form, the true version of yourself. You're going to live your most valuable potential, and most purposeful life, you all. Why? Because you've taken the steps to not only identify those self-sabotaging tendencies, but to actually make the changes to actually overcome, and then most importantly, replace and unlock. Or let's turn it around, unlock and then replace those tendencies with positive characteristics, traits, and so forth. So that is what you can expect, you all. And I'm going to be bringing, again, I've told you a little bit about it when I was talking about the podcast challenge, but you're going to get content in the form of our podcast, of course. Then within the blog, I'm going to be providing you with different information. And then, of course, I'm going to have these weekly challenges. Maybe sometimes I'll do daily challenges, but for the most part, it's going to be weekly challenges. And I should say that's kind of be on and off. It's not going to always be every week because sometimes I will have one challenge potentially drag out from a purpose of I want this particular challenge to take you some time so you can have time to think, have time to process, and most importantly, have time to adapt and change. So that being said, you all, I'm just really breaking down the course, right? I've just given you the whys, I've given you the whats. Now I've given you the hows. And a part of those hows, how can you actually take the information that I'm delivering to you and be able to use it in a applicable, meaningful, and useful way? Well, simply put, first and foremost, think. Use your mind. Think about what it is that I'm talking about and understand your position in the particular scenario that I'm going to be talking about, either in this episode or in the coming episodes. But then, secondly, what I need you to do is be willing to take action. I talked about it in the podcast challenge. It's not just about you showing your support and following me and subscribing to my newsletter and subscribing to my podcast. It's about taking the first step to saying, I am ready to make a change in my life, whether that change is focused around your health, whether that change is focused around, career moves, relationships, spiritual change, emotional change, physical change, whatever it might be, you all. The list goes on, right? The focus is that you have to be able to take the first step. I'm going to reference throughout these podcasts, you all, scriptures, right? And I think about a time where Peter, remember the story of Peter when he walked on water? And think about that. Peter walked on water, but he walked on water because not only did he have faith in Christ, but because he also had faith. He had strong enough faith and a strong enough resolve, a mental fortitude. His mindset was different, that he said, you know what, I'm going to take the first step and believe that I can actually accomplish this. Why? Because, of course, he had Christ right there. But that's the thing. Christ is right there in your life. And he's just saying, make the first step. Many people don't typically get to, the finish point or even the half yard, the sorry, the half yard line simply because they don't take the first step. And so in order for us to make any type of change, to actually see momentum in what it is that we're doing, I'm going to challenge you to take the first step. So be intentional, be willing to take the first step, and be willing to assess and grow. When you're making these changes, there are going to be obstacles that are going to come up, and those obstacles aren't meant for you to grow. That's the reason why we call them obstacles. It's a challenge. But change often can be painful and it can be challenging. But on the other side of change is greatness. It is a sense of confidence, a sense of comfort, a new level of comfort that I'm still going to challenge you to get out of. But the ability to be able to rejoice and say, man, I'm different from yesterday. I'm different from last year. I'm different from 5 years ago, you all. All of these things matter. And in order for us to see that, again, we have to identify, we have to take the first step, we have to take action, right? And then we have to be able to assess and grow. You're going to fail. Simply put, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. You're going to fail, but not forever. Maybe the first two steps you find yourself, man, I failed. Okay, cool. You failed. Learn from it, assess, and then grow. There is a statement I heard, I saw playing Call of Duty, you all playing Call of Duty, right? And on Call of Duty, after I died, it said, you failed, but no worries. Get back up, fail again, and then fail better. And I like that. Why? Because what is painting is that, look, life is going to be a series of lessons learned, right? But typically we learn lessons a lot because of failures. But if we truly take those failures or we take those losses and change the definition of them, right? We say, you know what? It's not a loss, but it's a lesson. Then we begin to change the narrative and we begin to see it in a different manner. We don't see it as oh man, I failed. I'm never going to be great at this. No, we see it as, man, I kind of got set back there. But why did I get set back there? What steps did I take that caused this particular outcome? That's interesting. Well, if that happened, I wonder if I would have did it this way, would it have been a better outcome? You know what? I'm going to try it differently. I know what my last step did, so I'm going to try it again and I'm going to bring out a new outcome. So, again, it's not a loss, it's not a failure. Truly, it is a lesson if you allow it to be. So, that being said, you all, I've enjoyed talking to you all and just letting you all know about this particular podcast, why we started it, how we went about doing it, and how you can actually apply the ongoing lessons and teachings that I'm going to be providing you all and apply it to your life. You all, this podcast is not meant for you to down yourself, to look at me as I continue to grow this and say, man, I wish I would. No, don't say I wish anything. Ask yourself, what do I need to do in order to get there? And specifically ask yourself that on what it is that you want to do. I'm going to allow this podcast and further resources and opportunities that are generated from this platform to be my baby. But you got to figure out what your baby is. And we'll talk more about it. Again, I think the big episode that you'll really get a greater understanding of your baby is really understanding purpose versus platform. Purpose versus platform, that is going to be a really, really great episode. And that's going to be coming in the later shows. But next show specifically is going to be the cost of success, you all. I'm super excited to be able to talk about the cost of success. We're going to really go into starting truly the first episodes of talking about experiences and really showcasing how to grow from these experiences, showcasing the failures or the losses and how we took those and learned from them to be able to grow, but have to understand what the true cost of success is. So I'm looking forward to talking about that episode. You all, is going to be truly, truly great. And for a special surprise, or I'm not going to even call it a special surprise, you all. I have the recording of when I first started that rap session I was telling you about with me and Elise when we were waiting for the client. I have that recording. And so what I'm going to do is in later episodes, I'm actually going to post that recording so you can kind of see exactly how the podcast got started and exactly what the hell I was talking about during that time. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast today. You all look, again, the podcast challenge is 3 steps. Subscribe to my podcast, subscribe to the email newsletter, and subscribe to all of my social platforms. I'm not going to penalize you if you don't have a particular platform, but I do need you to go ahead and do that. Once you've done it on the last social platform that you are on, I need you to just simply state $25 Starbucks gift card. Once you've done that, I'll go in and start checking to make sure that you actually did what I've asked you to do. And then I'll put you in the drawing, you all. 2 lucky individuals will get a $25 Starbucks gift card from me. Your next drink will be on me, you all. All right? Got to February 14th to be able to complete this challenge. I'll be drawing then. But until then, you all, thank you all for your support. I love you all. And look, it's time that we become the change that we want to see. I'm going to talk about it in the next episode, but there is a yearly theme. So be ready for that. It's going to be impactful, meaningful, and purposeful. Catch you.